3 months later, Marcus Stone's gym was a mess. Sweat dripped everywhere, mixing with dirt from the training yard outside. But to Marcus, it didn't matter. He was standing up and walking around with support. Not far, but enough to make him laugh. Again, I didn't believe it myself. A billionaire covered in dirt and sweat, looking like he just crawled out of a ditch. Suddenly, his physical therapist, Victor, yelled, No, Marcus, not like that. But that's how I felt last week. Why are we doing this again? Because it's not working. I'm tired. You're walking backwards instead of forwards. Come on, Marcus. One more time, please. One more time. Fine. Marcus stood up, hating how weak he felt. Emma watched him, hugging her spray bottle, worried. Are you sure this is okay, doctor? It's been 3 months since the accident. Shouldn't he be further along? Yes, he should, but it's all because of that stupid spray. I told you, Emma. The effect wears off after a few hours, but the little girl insisted. Dr. Peterson ran a hand through his graying hair. I'm losing my job because of that thing. Marcus stopped improving weeks ago. Now I can't even get him to walk a few steps without stopping. Before he was making progress, but now he can't even stand long enough to use the toilet. Sorry, Emma said quietly. I thought it helped him. It does. But you can't base therapy on it. There's no medical explanation for it. What's in that bottle, Emma? Emma hesitated. She wouldn't tell. We'll be here tomorrow, right, doctor? Of course, Marcus needs me. Besides, where else would he go? He can't live like this forever. But I can't work with him unless he takes real medicine. Marcus approached the house with a limp, wiping sweat from his forehead. He noticed how thin and worn out his clothes were from dragging himself around the property. But he hardly cared. I'm walking. It's a start. Well, someone seems happy, sneered a familiar voice. Marcus whirled around and kicked a nearby stone. Get lost, Harvey. I'm not talking to you. Harvey chuckled. So you're walking a bit. Does that mean you're back in business? Why should I be back in business? Why do you care? You owe me big time, Stone. First, you ruin my race by exposing me. Then you pull through. And suddenly you're back in the game. Where's the fairness in that? Marcus scowled, remembering how he exposed Harvey, cheating during the charity bike race. So what if he won? In reality, it was Harvey who got nothing. Money doesn't solve everything, does it? Right now, it's only money that can save my dad. Please, Marcus, you have to pay what you owe. Marcus's heart sank. Harvey's dad was sick. He knew that. But he also knew Harvey used the money he won to try to expand his father's business. What went wrong? You know, I hate billionaires. They all think they're gods, untouchable, and better than everyone. Look at me. I fell from the top because one billionaire exposed me. And now you show me what I could have had. Listen, I don't care if you want to die. My life insurance pays millions. But I do care about your dad. Go get the money yourself. I tried, but I'm in debt. Everyone thinks I cheated somehow. No one lends me money anymore. This is my last chance. I'm sorry. There's nothing left to talk about. Marcus turned away. Don't be sorry. I guess it's good that you failed. You know, I always did better when I didn't have anything. It makes me stronger. When I win, I lose myself. But when I have nothing, there's nowhere to fall. Marcus retreated to his room. He closed the door, but not before he saw the disappointment in Emma's eyes. She didn't understand. He wished he could explain, but how could he put it? He was born rich. He never had to work for anything. He just took it for granted. Everything changed when he lost everything. And now, because of Emma, he was getting it back. But it wasn't what it was before. He couldn't understand why winning meant losing. Why being poor made him stronger. Emma, I need your help. What happened? Did you hurt yourself? Can you bring me that spray? The one I told you not to use. She shook her head. You know it doesn't work. Bring it here. Emma hesitated, but brought the spray anyway. Marcus sat on the edge of his bed. Show me again. Emma sprayed his feet. Marcus closed his eyes, feeling the cold water, the mint, the pepper. It's so strange, he whispered. It's like I can feel the heat of the sun on my feet, or the wind blowing through grass, but it wears off after a few hours. It doesn't actually heal you. No, it doesn't. But it gives me a reason to keep trying. It reminds me what it's like to be alive. He looked at Emma. Why don't you try it? Spray me again. Emma did, dreading the burning sensation. But it was worth it. Look, Marcus, I can move my toes. See, we're all scared. Scared of what we don't know. Scared of losing control. But if we don't try, we'll never find out how strong we are. That spray, it helps us to face our fears. It gives us hope. Emma nodded, tears welling up. Hope. Yeah, hope. Marcus stood up. I may be rich, but I bet you're smarter than me. You faced your fear, and you helped me do the same. Thank you, Emma. You have something I'll never have. A pure heart. Emma wiped her tears. No, you're wrong. You have the purest heart, Marcus. You never gave up on me or Mama, and now I'm giving up. I'm done. What? I tried so hard, but I can't get my legs to work. It hurts too much. Marcus sat beside her. Look, you need to keep trying. You shouldn't give up. But I am giving up. Don't. Please, Emma. If I don't try, you'll get angry. I'll be disappointed, but I won't get angry. Promise. Okay, but don't blame me if it doesn't work. It will work. I feel it. Trust me. All right, but I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for me. She stood up slowly, hugged her spray bottle, and sprayed her own legs. Emma gritted her teeth. I hope you're right, Marcus. As Emma tried to stand, Marcus thought he understood what it was that she had. A strength that came from nothing, that refused to bend to his power or influence. But he couldn't understand it yet. All he knew was that she needed him, and he wouldn't fail her. At least that's what he thought, until he found out that Emma was hiding something from him. Something that would change everything.
The billionaire who couldn't walk, and the homeless girl holding a simple spray bottle. Their lives were about to collide in a way neither could have ever imagined. For the first time in 6 long months, Marcus Stone's toes wiggled. "Did you see that?" he cried out, his voice filled with disbelief. Staring at him with wide eyes was Emma, a young girl living on the streets with her sick mother. Marcus's hands trembled on the arms of his wheelchair. His toes were still moving, a tiny, impossible dance. He couldn't look away. "What kind of deal?" Emma asked, clutching the bottle. "You helped me learn to walk again," Marcus said, his voice thick with emotion. "And I'll get the best doctors in the world for your mama." Emma's mouth fell open. "You'd really do that? For us?" Marcus leaned forward, his eyes intense. "Emma, 5 minutes ago I was dead inside. You gave me something no doctor could. Hope. If you can do this once, maybe you can help me stand." Emma glanced back at her mother, Sarah, who was doubled over, coughing so hard she could barely stay upright. "She needs help now," Emma whispered, her voice cracking. Marcus didn't hesitate. "Guards, bring her inside, gently, and call Dr. Peterson. Tell him it's urgent." Within minutes, Sarah was resting in a velvet chair on Marcus's sprawling porch. She looked so fragile, so worn. "Mama, this is Marcus," Emma said softly. "He's going to help us." Sarah lifted her head weakly, her voice raspy. "Please, don't give my daughter false hope. We've been disappointed too many times." Marcus's gaze burned with a new fire. "Ma'am, your daughter just made my toes move for the first time in half a year. I don't care how crazy it sounds. What she has works." Just then, Dr. Peterson, Marcus's personal physician, rushed out, his white coat flying. "Marcus, what's the emergency?" "Watch," Marcus said, his voice shaking with excitement. "Emma, do it again." Emma knelt and sprayed his foot. Immediately, Marcus's toes danced. His ankle twisted up and down, left and right. Dr. Peterson's jaw dropped. That's impossible. Your nerves tested dead. They're moving, Marcus said, grinning like a child. Look. The doctor touched Marcus's foot. Can you feel this? Marcus closed his eyes, concentrating. It's faint, like a whisper, but yes, I feel it. The doctor turned to the young girl. Little girl, what's in that bottle? Emma hugged it close. You'll think I'm crazy. Emma, Marcus said gently. You just shocked a billionaire's nerves awake. Nothing you say will sound crazy now. She took a deep breath. Water from the fountain at the park. Mint leaves from behind the grocery store. Clove oil from an old medicine shop. Then 3 drops of eucalyptus oil and a pinch of cayenne pepper. Cayenne pepper? Marcus asked, intrigued. It burns at first, Emma explained, but then it wakes things up, like when your foot falls asleep and it tingles. Dr. Peterson was already scribbling notes furiously. Incredible. The mint cools, the clove numbs, eucalyptus opens pathways, and the cayenne shocks everything awake, Emma finished, her eyes shining. Exactly, the doctor exclaimed. This is groundbreaking. Emma's smile faded. It doesn't heal, Mama. It just makes the pain stop for a while. Emma, Marcus said, spray her legs, show us. Emma walked to her mother. This might sting, Mama. She sprayed both of Sarah's legs. Sarah gasped, gripping the chair. Then slowly, trembling, she stood up. For the first time in months, she was standing on her own. I can stand, Sarah whispered, tears streaming down her face. Emma dropped the bottle, her hand flying to her mouth. Mama, Marcus's heart pounded in his chest. Sarah, from now on you will have the best care money can buy. Food, medicine, doctors, whatever you need. Sarah's lips trembled. What do you want from us? Marcus turned his gaze to Emma, his voice steady and resolute. I want Emma to help me fight, every day, until I can stand like you just did. What if it doesn't work? Emma asked, her voice small. What if you get mad? Marcus rolled closer, his eyes full of fire. 6 months ago, I was unstoppable. Then one accident destroyed me. I believed the doctors. I gave up. His voice cracked. But you didn't give up on your mama. You found a way. You're braver than anyone I've ever met. If you don't give up on me, then I won't give up either. Emma looked at her mother, who nodded through her tears. Emma swallowed hard. Okay, but we do this together. You don't quit, and I don't quit. Marcus smiled through his own wet eyes. Deal. That night, Marcus Stone began his hardest battle. With Emma's spray, Dr. Peterson's guidance, and Sarah's cheers, the billionaire who almost gave up felt something he thought he'd lost forever. Not just hope, but the strength to fight for a miracle. But what none of them knew was that their fight was about to get so much harder. Don't miss the next part of this incredible story. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be the first to see what happens next. Thanks for watching. Marcus slammed his fists against the gym floor. I can't do this, he shouted. The billionaire who had everything was about to face the toughest fight of his life. A fight he was sure he would lose. 3 weeks later, the scene was the same. In his private, state-of-the-art gym, Marcus gripped the parallel bars. His arms shook, sweat dripped from his brow, and his legs buckled beneath him. He collapsed, crashing hard to the floor. Useless! He roared, his voice echoing off the walls. These legs are useless! He had fallen 10 times that morning. His knees were raw, his pride was shattered, and his hope was gone. Emma walked over calmly, holding her little red spray bottle. Get away from me, Marcus barked. Your magic spray doesn't work. Nothing works. But Emma didn't flinch. She stood her ground, her green eyes blazing with a fire that seemed far too old for her 8 years. Are you done feeling sorry for yourself? She asked, her voice sharp and clear. Marcus froze. No one, absolutely no one, had ever dared to speak to him like that. His voice hardened. What did you say to me? Emma's voice grew louder, stronger. My mama cried every night for 2 years. Her legs hurt so bad she wanted to give up. But you know what she told me? Marcus just glared, caught off guard. What? She said, Emma, the only way to lose is to stop trying. Emma's voice trembled, but her eyes never lost their fire. Mama kept trying, I kept trying, and now look. She pointed out the window toward the garden. There, among the flowers, was her mother, Sarah, walking slowly, her arms out for balance. She wasn't fast, but she was on her own 2 feet. A wave of bitterness washed over Marcus. Your mama is different, she just needed medicine. I need a miracle. Emma's eyes welled with tears, but her voice stayed impossibly strong. You think you're the only one who's scared? The only one who hurts? Every time I spray this, I'm scared it won't work. Every time Mama takes a step, she's scared she'll fall. But we do it anyway. Do you know why? Marcus was silent. Emma stepped closer, raising her little chin defiantly. Because being scared of failing him is better than being scared of never trying again. Those words struck Marcus like a bolt of lightning. He looked at this poor, determined little girl who refused to surrender, and then he looked at himself, a billionaire with every resource imaginable, who had already quit. His voice dropped to a whisper. Emma, I'm sorry. You're right. A small smile broke through her tears. So, are you ready to try again? Marcus took a deep, shaky breath. He looked at the parallel bars, then back at her. Spray me. Emma sprayed both his feet. The icy sting and burning mint filled the air. He felt a tingle. His toes wiggled. His ankles twisted. The fire inside his nerves came alive. He pulled himself up, his legs trembling violently. I've got you, Dr. Peterson said, ready to catch him. Marcus put weight on his right foot. It held for a single, breathtaking second, then collapsed. But this time there was no screaming, no cursing, just a low growl. Again. Emma sprayed him again. Marcus gritted his teeth and stood. 2 seconds. Progress, Emma cheered. Day after day, it was the same routine. Marcus tried. Emma sprayed. Dr. Peterson encouraged. 5 seconds, 10, 30. With every attempt, his muscles screamed and the urge to quit was overwhelming. But Emma Isa's words echoed in his head. The only way to lose is to stop trying. And Marcus refused to lose again. Weeks turned into a month. One evening, as they all sat for dinner, Sarah looked around the table. Look at us. A month ago, Emma and I were on the streets. Marcus couldn't move his feet. Now, we're a family. Emma grinned. A family that never gives up. Marcus smiled warmly. Emma, tomorrow I want to try something special. The next morning, they gathered on the driveway, the very spot where this journey began. Marcus sat in his wheelchair 10 feet away. Emma, he said, spray my feet one more time. Then go stand with your mama. She did. The mist jolted his nerves awake. Marcus gripped the wheelchair arms and pulled himself up. His legs shook like they were coming apart. You can do this, Sarah called out. We believe in you, Emma shouted. Marcus lifted his right foot. 1 step, then another. The 10 feet felt like 10 miles. Sweat poured down his face. 3 steps from his goal, his legs began to buckle. But Emma ran forward, grabbing his hands. I've got you. With her help, Marcus stumbled the final steps and fell into Sarah's arms. Tears streamed down his face. I did it, he shouted. I walked. Dr. Peterson shook his head in disbelief. In all my years, I've never seen anything like this. Marcus looked down at the little girl who had saved him. How can I ever thank you? Emma just smiled. You already did. You never gave up. 3 months later, Marcus could walk on his own. But every morning, on that same driveway, Emma would spray his feet. Not because he needed it, but as a reminder that sometimes the biggest miracles come in the smallest packages, and that when you think your story is over, it's often just beginning. Thank you so much for watching. If this story moved you, please hit that like button subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. We'll see you in the next one. For the first time in a year, Marcus strode proudly into his company's headquarters, but waiting for him was the one man who prayed he'd never walk again. Marcus adjusted the lapels of his suit. No wheelchair, no cane. He was standing on his own 2 feet. Emma walked beside him, holding her little spray bottle like it was a badge of honor. Sarah followed close behind, her face beaming with pride. As Marcus entered the main lobby, the entire office went silent, then erupted in gasps. "He's walking!" someone shouted from across the room. Cameras flashed. Employees who had only known him as a name on an email signature began to clap, their applause echoing off the marble floors. But at the top of the grand staircase stood Richard Hale, Marcus's business partner. His smile was a thin, tight line that didn't quite reach his cold eyes. "Marcus," Richard said, his voice smooth as silk as he descended the stairs to meet him. "I see the rumors of your recovery weren't exaggerated." "They weren't," Marcus said, his tone firm, leaving no room for doubt. "I'm back." Richard's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "Back to work, or back to ruin everything I built while you were gone?" Emma frowned, stepping forward. "He didn't ruin anything. He's a fighter." Marcus raised a single hand, silencing her without taking his eyes off Richard. "You sound nervous, old friend." Richard leaned in, his voice dropping to a venomous whisper. "Do you have any idea how much money I made while you were broken? Do you know how many people want you out of the picture for good? If you walk back into this company, Marcus, you'll regret it." Sarah quickly gripped Emma's shoulders. "Let's go," she whispered urgently. But Marcus didn't budge. He stood tall, a titan returning to his throne. "Richard," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "You're about to regret underestimating me." That night, Marcus met with Emma and Sarah in the quiet solitude of his study. "Richard has been trying to seize control of my empire ever since my accident," Marcus explained, pacing in front of the fireplace. "Now that I'm back on my feet, he won't let go easily." Sarah looked worried, her brow furrowed. "Marcus, you just learned to walk again. You don't need this kind of stress." "I didn't fight this hard just to sit back down," Marcus declared, his resolve hardening like steel. Emma clenched her small fists, her eyes blazing with determination. "So, we fight him. Together." The next morning, Marcus returned to headquarters for a critical board meeting. Emma, ever his little guardian, insisted on coming along. Halfway through the meeting, just as Marcus was outlining his vision for the future, Richard stood up and slammed a folder onto the polished mahogany table. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced with a flourish, "I present proof that Marcus Stone is unfit to run this company." Inside the folder were photos, clearly doctored images of Marcus looking drunk, staggering, and even one of him in a hospital bed, appearing frail and weak. "This is who you want leading you?" Richard sneered, his voice dripping with contempt. "A broken man clinging to a child's miracle spray?" The board members murmured in shock, their faces a mixture of confusion and concern. Emma shot to her feet. "That's a lie!" "Sit down, little girl," Richard snapped, dismissing her with a wave of his hand. But then, Marcus rose slowly from his chair. He calmly removed his suit jacket and began to walk, without any help, around the massive table. "Look at me," Marcus said, his voice steady and commanding. "I was broken, but this child," he gestured to Emma, "reminded me what it truly means to fight. She didn't let me quit. And because of her, I am standing here today, stronger than I have ever been." He slammed his hand down on the table, the sound cracking through the tense silence. "The only thing broken in this company is Richard's loyalty." Gasps filled the room. Richard's face turned a shade of crimson. "You'll regret this, Marcus. You have no idea who you're dealing with." He stormed out, leaving a storm of whispers and speculation in his wake. That night, Marcus tucked Emma into bed in one of the mansion's many guest rooms. "Marcus," Emma whispered, her voice small in the dark. "He's going to come after you." Marcus sat on the edge of her bed, a gentle smile on his face. "He already has, but I have something he'll never understand." "What?" Emma asked, her eyes wide. Marcus smiled softly. Family. But miles away, just outside the mansion gates, Richard Hale sat in a black car, the glow of his phone illuminating his cold, ruthless face. Do it, he ordered into the phone. I don't care what it takes. Destroy him. Midnight. The silence of the mansion shattered like the very windows around us. A scream tore from Emma's throat, and in that single, heart-stopping moment, I knew. Richard Hale wasn't bluffing. This was real. Glass exploded inward, scattering like diamonds across the marble floor. Masked figures, shadows with malicious intent, stormed through the broken frames. They were a tide of darkness flooding our home. Emma! Sarah! Get down! My voice was a roar I didn't recognize. I yanked Emma behind the heavy sofa, her small hand clutching that little red spray bottle like a lifeline. But then a cry from the hallway. Marcus! It was Sarah. My blood ran cold. 3 of them had her, dragging her away. Raw instinct took over. I charged, my legs unsteady but my heart pounding with a fury I didn't know I possessed. Adrenaline was a fire in my veins, turning me into a storm of desperation. I tackled the first man, the impact against the wall rattling my teeth. A pipe whistled past my ear. I ducked, twisting, and drove my fist into the second attacker's stomach. He gasped and crumpled. But the third, he was still pulling Sarah toward the door, toward the darkness. She was slipping away from me. Mama! A child's shriek, then a hiss. Emma, my brave, tiny Emma, had jumped out from behind the sofa. She aimed her little spray bottle and drenched the man's arm. He cursed, his grip loosening as he pawed at his stinging skin. That was all the time Sarah needed. She broke free, stumbling back into my arms, her body trembling against mine. Just then, sirens. A beautiful, piercing wail growing closer and closer. The intruders didn't hesitate. They vanished into the night as quickly as they had appeared, leaving behind a wake of destruction and fear. Minutes later, the mansion was bathed in flashing red and blue lights. The chief officer, a man with tired, knowing eyes, surveyed the chaos. Mr. Stone, he said, his voice grim. This was professional. They weren't here to rob you. They were here to send a message. The name was a curse on my lips. Richard Hale. Emma, my little warrior, wiped her tears with a dirty sleeve. He's trying to scare us away. I looked down at her, at the fierce defiance in her young face, and a new kind of determination burned inside me. He has no idea who he's dealing with. The next morning, we stood on the steps of our broken home, facing a sea of cameras. I didn't hide. I stood proudly, with Emma and Sarah right by my side. The world needed to see this. Last night, cowards tried to break us, I said, my voice ringing out, firm and clear. They shattered our windows, but they will never shatter our spirit. We are still standing, and we are stronger than ever. I pulled Emma closer, my arm a shield around her. This little girl right here, I declared. She saved my life last night. She reminded me that true courage isn't about money or power. It's about never, ever giving up on the people you love. And that is a lesson Richard Hale will never understand. As if on cue, Emma raised her red spray bottle high. A cheer erupted from the crowd. Reporters shouted questions, a chaotic chorus of voices. Mr. Stone, what will you do now? I met their gaze, my eyes blazing with newfound purpose. I'll do what Emma taught me. I'll fight. I'll rebuild. And I will never stop standing up for what's right. The cameras flashed, capturing the moment, freezing it in time. Unseen, hidden in the crowd, Richard Hale watched. I couldn't see him, but I could feel his rage. I could almost hear him mutter, "This isn't over." He was right about that. Later, back inside the quiet ruin of our home, Emma curled up beside Sarah. "Are we safe now?" she whispered, her voice small again. I looked out the shattered window at the coming night, my fists clenching at my sides. "For tonight, sweetheart," I whispered back. "But tomorrow we fight back. This is far from over. If you're with us, if you believe in fighting for what's right, Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. You won't want to miss what happens next. Thank you for watching.